Hey, we back. I'm here on Mudae, and we are talking about badges today. Now, I get a lot of people asking me what the fastest way to buy badges is, and I've done a video about it in the past, but it's difficult to believe because most people assume that the fastest way to get badges is by going for Ruby 4 first. This is, without a doubt, the most optimal way to buy the badges, in the sense that you spend the least amount of Kakura to get all the badges, because you get the badge cost reduced first. However, that is not the fastest way, because Gold and Sapphire get you way more Kakura than just 25% increase, and so by getting them first, you get the benefits much earlier on. I'm going to prove that. Today. We're going to do a little bit of maths. You're welcome to skip through it if it's a little confusing. Hopefully I'll edit out any bits that are boring. I've got Notepad open here, and I'm going to add on each time we figure out when we are getting a certain amount of badges, how long it's taken to get those badges. And then we get to the end and we can see how quickly we got all the badges by taking a particular route. I will be doing 2 routes. We have the team over in the left, which is going for Gold 4, then Sapphire 4, and then the others. That's the route that I go for, and the route that I suggest everyone goes for. We also have Team Ruby over in the right, which goes for Ruby 4 first, and then buys everything else. Each method is perfectly valid. I don't really care which you do, but I aim to prove that my method is a little bit faster today. So, let's get started, shall we? We have here Mr. Calculator, and we are going to be starting with the Ruby method, just to be fair. So, we're going to start by getting Gold 1 and 2 first, because even the Ruby method does go for Gold 1 and 2 first, because you need to get Bronze, Silver, and Gold 1 and 2 before you can get Ruby. First, however, we need to work out how much Kakura we are getting per day. We'll keep track of this as we go along. At the start of the bot, each Kakura react takes 5 hours to refill. You're getting 1 react per 5 hours. Now, this is assuming that you can roll a react in a 5-hour time frame. But given that Purse Rare exists and forces a Kakura spawn every 50 rolls, let's suppose you're in a really small server, because there's no doubt that Gold gets better with larger servers, so to be fair to Ruby Gang, let's pick a really small server with just, say, 4 people. 4 people with the maximum amount of rolls per hour are going to be rolling about 50 times per hour, which guarantees 1 Kakura spawn. So that puts our cap. We cannot get more than 1 Kakura spawn per hour, but that's more than you can get with badges anyway. How good is that Kakura reaction though? Well, on average, at the start of the game, you're getting a turquoise. Of course, you will mostly get blues, but you may not claim them. You will sometimes you'll get greens or yellows. Get lucky. On average, you get a turquoise, which is worth, on average, 200 Kakura. So we'll go with that with our base value of Kakura. Of course, once we get our Sapphire 4, then blue Kakura replaced by yellows, and it's pretty undeniable that by that point you can average a yellow Kakura, which is worth 450. So for the most part, our Kakura reactions are worth 200, later 450. Also, I'm going to assume that DK is worth 250 Kakura every time you claim it, because that sounds about right to me. So, with these assumptions in place, we are going to start by getting Gold 1. Gold 1 costs 3,000 Kakura. If we are getting a Kakura reaction every 5 hours, that's 3 per day. 200 times 3 is 600, plus 250 for our DK, 850 Kakura per day. Let's round it to 800, why not? So we are doing 3,000 divided by 800, which gives us 3.75 days. That's not bad for your first badge. Let's add it onto the stack, shall we? Here's a notepad. This is 4 days in, and we have Gold 1. Let's zoom this in a bit so you can actually see it. There we go, 4 days in, and you've got Gold 1. Kakura reactions are now every 4.5 hours. Realistically, this doesn't make a huge difference, so let's suppose it's the same amount, shall we? Another 800 Kakura. We're now up to 6,000 Kakura. We are dividing that by, once again, 800. We get 7.5 days. So we can add that to the stack. 4 days plus 7.5 days, 11 days. 11 days in. Gold 2. Sound good with you guys? We happy? You see what's going on here. Alright, now let's get bronze and silver too. These in total are going to cost us 9,000 Kakura, 1,000 plus 2,000 plus 2,000 plus 4,000. 9,000. But we are now getting a Kakura reaction once every 4 hours instead of once every 5. So that's, say, 4 reactions per day. 4 reactions times 200 is 800 plus 250. We're just over 1,000. So we are doing 9,000 divided by 1,000, and you already know the answer. It is 9. So we are adding on to here 20 days in bronze, silver 2. Okay, now we're going for ruby. Ruby's the big one. Ruby is the big one that gives us the upgrade, correct? Well, let's see. We first have to get ruby 1, 2, and 3, which costs us 7,000, 14,000, and 21,000. So that is 7,000 plus 14,000 plus 21,000. 42,000. We are going to divide that by our 1,000 per day, which is, funnily enough, 42. So we add this onto the stack. We're now at 62 days in. We have ruby up to 3. I didn't do 4 because ruby 3 gives us a Kakura upgrade. We are now getting a Kakura once every 3 hours. Let's say we can now get 5 in a day. That's 15 hours, right? That makes sense, I think. So 5 Kakura reactions per day. We've gone up by 1. That's an extra 200. We're now at 1,200. The last ruby upgrade costs us 28,000. Divide that by 1,200. 23 days. So we can finally add that on here. 85 days in, we have ruby 4. So that took about 3 months. But we now have ruby 4, so obviously things are great. We get our 25% badge cost reduction, right? Everything's perfect. Badges still cost a fair bit. What should we go for next? Gold makes sense? I think gold makes sense. We are already at gold 2, so we only need to get 3 and 4. Let's start by getting gold 3. Gold 3 naturally costs 9,000. But we have ruby 4, so we can multiply that by 0.75. It's only going to cost us 6,750. Of course, as well now, we are getting reactions every 3 hours. So that means we are getting our 1,200 Kakura, right? So we divide that by 1,200. 5.6 days. Rounded up to 6. Next, we go for gold 4. So gold 4 costs us 12,000. That's 21,000. We multiply that by 0.75. And now we are getting our reactions every 2.5 hours. We could get 6 in a day. Again, that's 15 hours. Which brings us up to 1,400 per day. So let's divide that by 1,400. It's going to take us 6 days. Add that on to the 6 days that we just had for gold 3. That's 12 days. So we are now at 97 days in. And we have gold 4. What should we go for next? Sapphire? Sounds good to me. So Sapphire 4 next. Sapphire 4 is 50,000 Kakura in total. You can add it up if you like. 5,000 plus 10,000 plus 15,000 plus 20,000. We're going to times that by 0.75, which gives us 37,500. Kakura reactions are taking us 2 hours now, which means we can get, say, 8 in a day, but we have gold 4, which gives us an extra 2.5 reactions. You can do the maths on that. That is because we get 100% refill from our DK. With our extra 2.5 reactions, makes us up to 10.5. 10.5 times 200 is 2,100, right? And we add on the extra 250 for DK, or just what we've been calling it so far, 200. So we're going to divide that by 2,300, which gives us 16 days. That's to get Sapphire 4. Not bad. So we are now at 113 days in, and we have Sapphire 4. Our Kakura just went up a lot because we are now at the 450 Kakura reacts, we are at 10.5 reactions per day. Times that by 450 and add on the 250 for DK. We are basically at 5,000 Kakura per day now. So next we have to get Emerald. I'm going to make a special point of mentioning when we get Emerald 1 because I think Emerald 1 is a particularly important badge. Potentially one of the best because you want to get RT as soon as possible. So let's start by just doing Emerald 1. We will take that 9,000, multiply it by 0.75 and then divide that by 5,000. This actually only takes 1 day, which is pretty impressive. So let's shove this into here. 114 days in, we are at Emerald 4. Next, we have the rest of Emerald to get. So this is 14, 18,000 plus 27,000 plus 36,000. Which equals 81,000. We times that by 0.75, of course, because of our Ruby 4. And then we divide that by the 5,000. 12 more days. Let's add this onto the stack. We are now at 126 days in. And we have Emerald 4. I realised I wrote 4 there. That was meant to be 1. Alright, finally, the last 2 badges. We have Bronze and Silver 3 and 4 to get. These cost a total of 21,000 between them. But of course, now that we have Emerald 4, we have a bit of an increase in Kakura. So let's figure out the maths on this quickly, shall we? Let's say we're getting a claim every 3 hours. Again, let's go with a 15-hour day or thereabouts. That's 5 claims in a day. And let's suppose you're claiming a 200 Kakura waifu on average. That seems reasonable. Still pretty near the start of a server at this point, of course. So your Emerald 4 bonus is getting you about 1,000 Kakura per day. So we take our 21,000 Kakura, multiply it by that Ruby 4 bonus, and divide it by now 6,000 Kakura per day. It only takes us an extra 3 days. So then we shove in here, 129 days in, all badges. We have got all the badges. It took, what's that, 4 months? Not bad. Now, I've said in the past multiple times that I think getting all the badges takes about 3 months. That's an extra month. Is it because of the method I use? Let's find out, shall we? We are now doing the Gold 4 and Sapphire 4 method. Let's see how long it takes. So it's basically the same calculations again, but in a bit of a different order. So we're going to start with Gold. Of course, Gold 1 and 2 are exactly the same. We can copy and paste this. There's nothing different here. But next, we go for Gold 3. So how much Kakura are we getting at this point? Well, our Kakura reactions are once every 4 hours. We're getting, say, 4 in a day. And of course, we're back down to the 200 Kakura per day, per reaction that we were getting at the start of the bot. So 200 times 4 plus the 250 for DK, we are at 1,000 per day. Gold 3 is costing us a total of 9,000 Kakura. So 9,000 divided by 1,000, shocker, it's 9. So 9 days to get Gold 3. And then Gold 4, we are now getting Kakura reactions once every 3.5 hours. So let's just say we can get 4 in a day again. That sounds reasonable. The amount of Kakura doesn't go up. That's going to cost us 12 days. Right? So we get 9 plus 12 is 21 more days. So we are now at 32 days in. We have Gold 4. Right? So it did take us a whole month to finish off that first badge. It's a hefty one, isn't it? It's a hefty one. But go with it, because next we have Sapphire. Hey, it's Editing Steve here, and I forgot to mention that you do have to get Bronze and Silver 1 in order to unlock Sapphire, which actually means my calculations here are slightly wrong. There should have been an extra couple of badges there. However, it does not make too much difference, do not worry, because Bronze and Silver 1 between them cost a total of 3,000 Kakura, and as we are currently getting 1,200 Kakura per day, as I am about to say in the Sapphire calculations, that only takes an extra 2 or 3 days to get. So it's nothing major, no problems, but we've got to be consistent, so I thought I'd point that out. So next we're going on to Sapphire. Sapphire costs, of course, the whole 50,000, because we're not multiplying it by ruby, but we now have our gold 4 bonus. So not only are we getting Kakura reactions once every 3 hours, but we are also getting an extra 1.6 or so of a reaction per day because of the gold 4 bonus. Let's just call it 1.5 because that's close enough. And added that on to once every 3 hours, which we will call 5 reactions. We are getting 6.5 reactions per day. So 6.5 times 200 plus 250 for DK, 1,500. So we do 50,000, which is the total for Sapphire. We'll round this just to 1,500. And this is taking us 33 days. So let's add that on here. We are now at 65 days in to get Sapphire 4. So if we compare this to here, it's pretty similar to the amount of time it took to get Ruby 3, which is interesting. Not quite Ruby 4, but of course by this point on here we also had Bronze and Silver 2. Here we have Sapphire 4 and Gold 3 and 4. So, you know, debatable whether this is good or not. I think it's pretty good though, because Sapphire 4 and Gold 4 together are going to be getting us a lot of Kakura. And this is what we're working on next. So we are once again at our 1.5 extra reactions from Gold 4, plus the 5 reactions that I said, so it's 6.5 reactions still. But that 6.5 is being multiplied, instead of by 200, by 450. Plus the 250 from DK, we are now at 3,200 Kakura per day. What should we work on next? Now, I say to always go for Emerald 1 next. Of course, getting Ruby 4 next would probably be better, mostly for Ruby 3 actually, rather than Ruby 4. But let's go with Emerald 1, because that's what I say to do, and this is the method that I use, right? So, with our 3,200 Kakura per day, let's go and get Emerald. Emerald 1, of course, costs a full 9,000, because we've still not got Ruby 4. We're dividing that by 3,200, which takes only 3 days. So let's add that onto the stack. That is now 68 days in Emerald 1. If we take a quick comparison, to get Emerald 1 here took 114 days. To get it here, it took just 68. That's almost half the time. Pretty quick. But next we need to get our Ruby 4. And, well, obviously this is going to take forever, isn't it? Ruby 4, such a big badge. Don't be too sure, because Ruby 3, of course, we're going to go for 3 first, because 3 gives a Kakura bonus. Ruby 3 is going to cost 7,000 plus 14,000 plus 21,000, which is 42,000 total. We do not have Ruby 4 yet, so we're not multiplying by anything. But we do have 3,200 Kakura per day. So this takes us only 13 days. Not bad. We are now at 81 days in. We have Ruby 3. Ruby 3 brings our reaction time down to once every 2 hours. It means our DK gets us 2.5 reactions extra rather than 1.5. So we are now at 8 reactions per day, and we are getting 2.5 extra. So this is once again 10.5, multiplying that by 450, adding the 250 from DK, and you may notice we're at 5,000 again. 5,000 to get Ruby 4, which costs us 28,000. This is only taking us 6 days. Not bad. So let's add that on. 87 days in. Ruby 4. Now we get our badge reduction. So let's finish off the rest of the badges, shall we? We have Emerald 2, 3, and 4 to get. They are going to cost us 18,000 plus 27,000 plus 36,000. We can now start timesing this by 0.75 because we have Ruby 4, and then we are going to divide that by our now 5,000 Kakura per day, which takes us 12 days. Let's add that on. 99 days in Emerald 4. And then we just need to finish off the bronze and silver. This calculation is exactly the same as last time, which took us 3 days. So we can shove that on there. Hey, it's editing Steve. Once again, I managed to forget the early bronze and silver badges. Bronze 2 and silver 2 this time, which we have still not actually got yet. Don't worry, again, they do not make too much difference because we have bronze 2 and silver 2 combined, costing 6,000 kakara, and as I'm about to say, we are getting 6,000 kakara per day, so that is a whole 1 day difference. But again, does mean that my calculations are technically slightly off. A total of now 4 days out from the earlier mistake and from this one. So to be consistent, keep that in mind. I need to write this first. 102 days in, all badges. There you go. So with my method, the assumptions that we took, getting all badges should take 102 days, which is mined pretty close to 3 months. And with the Ruby 4 method, it takes 130 days, which is basically a month extra. I am not particularly surprised by this outcome. However, there's one thing that we have failed to consider, and that is kakara refund. If you use the Ruby 4 method here, you cannot get anything out of kakara refund because you already bought the most optimal badges. Kakara refund and rebuy wouldn't do anything for you. However, if you have maxed out all your badges using this method, you didn't buy them all optimally. So assuming your server moderators are happy to do you a refund, you can now go and buy all your badges in the most optimal order and keep the difference. Let's figure out what the difference is, right? So what did we buy out of order? We bought gold 3 and 4, which cost us 9,000 and 12,000. We also bought Sapphire 3 and 4, which cost us 15,000 and 20,000. We also bought, remember, Emerald 1 out of order, which is an extra 9,000. So this totals up to 65,000. If we kakara refund and rebuy, we can get that 25% back, which ends up being 16,000 kakara. So if you use the Gold 4 and Sapphire 4 method, not only does it take an entire month less to get the badges, but you then also get a free 16,000 kakara after you do your kakara refund, which is worth having. That's worth having. Note that you would get absolutely nothing for doing the same thing after the Ruby method. You only get that 16,000 if you do it in the same order that I did it in. So, I'm going to leave it up to you which method you want to pick. You can go for the Ruby method if you like, but I think the stats talk for themselves. You can either take 130 days, or you can take 100 days and get 16,000 kakara free at the end as well. I know which one I'm going to be picking, and maybe in the future you will feel like doing the same. Who knows? Anyway, that's all I've got to say today, so I will leave this one here. Bye!